Greetings gamers, welcome to the post-run commentary for the No Teleporter Max Chain Hell Speedrun World Record. If you would like to watch this run without any commentary or whatever, pausing and stuff, there's a link in the description for the uncommentated version. If you would like to skip the pretense and go straight to the run, there are chapters in this video that will allow you to do that. For those of you who will be joining me for this part, welcome. This is a very important run to me. You might be confused about why specifically No Teleporter Max Hell as a speedrun to do post-run commentary on, but this run's kind of a big deal. So I have a spreadsheet that I keep of all of my Spelunky runs that I've ever done in all 3 games in the entire series. I made that spreadsheet originally as like a little tier list to sort of rank my runs based on how good I think they are. But then I kind of liked it and I kept doing it for myself to sort of have a self-satisfaction. Whenever I get a cool run, I can kind of rank it and see how it stacks up to other runs. The natural question you might have after you hear that is, well, what's your best run ever? What do you think is your best run ever in all of Spelunky history? That would be this run. This is the run that I ranked as the best that I've ever done. It has never been beaten quite yet. There are runs that have come close, but this is the best speedrun I've ever done in the Spelunky series. So if that was at all interesting to you and you're like, oh, I want to see what his best run ever is, this is it. This is the run. So we're going to go through it together. I'm going to explain exactly why this run is so good. Point out some cool things about it. Explain a little bit about like No Teleporter Max Hell and what makes it interesting. Some of the details about the category that I find really, really cool and why it's my favorite main speedrun, which is a little devastating because now, how am I ever going to PB in it? I don't know. I haven't run this category in so long because my PB is too good. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and start watching the run. So I was running main speed at the time, so unlike some of my recent post-run commentaries, we're starting out without any regard for pacifism. I might have been keeping it no gold a little bit, but that'll pretty rapidly change for reasons you're going to end up seeing. So in a category such as this is the exact type of shot that you want to see. You want to see a jetpack and you want to see a Matic. Jetpack gives you really nice mobility, and Matic is the best item that you can use if we ban the teleporter, of course. Teleporter is the fastest item in the game. Matic is your next best option because it can dig through all of the terrain in the game, with the exception of the bedrock, but you don't need to dig through that anyway, so don't worry about that. So we have a nice and easy route here. I use the freeze ray to freeze the shopkeeper, pick up the items, and get out of dodge. Easier than our usual stuff, and for the time being, I'm probably going to be keeping it somewhat no goldish, but again, that's going to change very, very soon because, yeah, you see that in the top right corner? I actually knew that was there before because you could hear, I think, a whip sound effect from that hired help off screen. We have a hired hand now that has been automatically applied to me because unlike in Spelunky 2, if a hired hand spawns when you have aggro, it immediately is like yours now, and it's going to try and do stuff for you. So this hired hand is going to pick up money, and I'm in my head like, okay, this is not no gold anymore. We're just going to move on. Also, unfortunately, he can cause some problems if he doesn't die, so I'm hoping that he'll die sometime soon. But we'll see what ends up happening. Nonetheless, that's a thing, and we're going to probably lose no gold if I had to guess. So now I hit that guy because he's actually holding a shotgun, and I want nothing to do with that. But if you paid really close attention, like if you got a really keen eye for this stuff, you might notice that when I deal damage to this hired hand, that's a lot of blood. That was a lot of blood. That was more blood than things usually spawn when you damage them, which has a concerning implication, which is that I have 2 hired hands. There are 2 of them, even worse than previously believed to be the case. So that's really annoying. Those guys are going to be around for a little bit. Let me discuss a little bit about No Teleporter Max Hell, what the category is, and why I'm doing certain things as I'm doing in the jungle. So first and foremost, Max. That means you have to go to the worm in the mothership. So we need to go to the worm. That's kind of an important distinction here because the worm spawns a possible entrance on the first level of the jungle and the first level of the ice caves. So why didn't I go to the jungle worm just now, right? Well, barring any level generation, maybe, let's say we had a damsel directly next to the worm tongue, which is how you would enter the worm. You place it on the worm tongue. That would be really, really fast. We'd skip 2 jungle levels, which are slower than ice caves levels. So that sounds really, really good, right? What a great deal. The problem is we also need to go to the black market on this run. And you cannot go to the black market on the same run that you go to the worm because of the way that the worm works. So on 2-1, can't enter the black market because you have to enter the worm. So if the black market spawns there, you already can't go to the worm. You have to go to the black market. Now, when you enter the worm, that's the second level of the jungle now. You're on 2-2. And the black market can't spawn in the worm, so you're not going to have access to the black market there either. Then upon exiting the worm, if you pay close attention, you'll actually notice that you're on 2-4 because the worm skips 2 levels, not 1. So on 2-4, can the black market spawn? No, it can't, because then the next level would be the ice caves, and so you'd have an icy black market, which, while very, very interesting, is not something the game is ready to handle. So in max chain hell runs, where you have to both go to the black market and the worm, you are required to go to the worm in the ice caves, actually, interestingly enough. So I will not be at all concerned with trying to go to the worm in the jungle when I'm running these categories, if I'm intending to do a hell run, right? I can still run max any %, you know, jungle worm and then mothership and then Olmec ending, that's fine, but not in hell runs. One other thing that's worth discussing here is the black market itself, because No Teleporter Max Hell is a run with interesting conditions for de-aggro. De-aggro is something that does exist in Spelunky HD, even though it's very, very scuffed and cursed. A lot of people think it doesn't exist, but it actually does. The way de-aggro works is that after you anger the shopkeepers, they will continue to chase you forever, unless an even number of levels later, you escape the level without angering them in any way, which is a little bit confusing. So, as an example, we stole from the shopkeepers on 1-2, right? On this run, 1-2 was the level that we angered them. So 1-3 is an odd number of levels later, so we can't get de-aggro on that level whatsoever. On 1-4, we do have the opportunity to de-aggro, and you might think, why didn't you de-aggro? You didn't anger any shopkeepers, did you? You didn't damage them, you didn't destroy any shop. Why didn't you de-aggro there? That's because of what we believe to be an oversight. Maybe it's not, maybe it is. Which is that when a shopkeeper at any point becomes aggressive, even if you just get close to them, that basically reinitiates the aggro, right? And says, I'm angry at you for another 2 levels now. You have to deal with that, right? So that's the reason why it's every other level. And importantly, that means that the only way that you can get de-aggro is by exiting the level without being within range of a shopkeeper, which is pretty difficult. The main ways that you do that in runs like this is you use alternate exits. Examples of alternate exits are the worm is a great one. Black market is an alternate exit, so you can oftentimes de-aggro into the black market, which is relevant to this category. The mothership entrance is a great alternate exit. The Moai is, the City of Gold Door is, and Olmec is a fantastic one because shopkeepers don't even spawn on Olmec. Now here's the thing about that. You hear all of those options and you think to yourself, man, you must guaranteedly get de-aggro on this category, right? You have so many opportunities to lose anger. And that's kind of true to an extent, but when you break it down a little further, it becomes a little bit more like, oh, I see how this is. So if you de-aggro into the black market, that's great, but you're going to rob the Onk, so you're going to get aggro again. The important distinction is your aggro parity, which is to say, are you on even levels or are you on odd levels, right? In these categories, you want to be on odd levels by the time that you get to the worm. And the reason why is because when we break down the alternate exits, you'll start to notice a pattern. So let's say this run, which has even level aggro parity, gets to 3-1, okay? 3-1 is an odd number of levels after we originally got aggro, as we did on 1-2. So entering the worm will not allow us to get de-aggro. When we're in the worm, that's an even number of levels later, but that doesn't have an alternate exit. There's an exit keeper there. The next level, therefore, will be an odd level, which is when we enter the mothership. That's another alternate exit. So we wasted that one too. That's disappointing. Then the mothership itself has an exit keeper, so we're not going to be able to de-aggro there very easily. The level after that, once again, odd level, we can't even try. That's the Moai. That's another alternate exit that we've wasted. How unfortunate is that? Okay. Then 4-1 is Anubis. We could get de-aggro there if we get extremely lucky, but there's no alternate exit. Now 4-2 has a gold door, but that's an odd number of levels as a result of going to the worm. Trust me on that. Even odd. Odd level City of Gold door. That's unfortunate, we can't de-aggro. Then the City of Gold itself, once again, exit keeper. It's an even number of levels later, but we can't use it. Then Olmec. Odd number of levels, can't de-aggro on Olmec. So there is a perfect series of alternate exit, regular exit, alternate exit, regular exit for the entire duration of the run. So even though you get so many opportunities, if your parity is incorrect, as in even or odds, you will not be able to de-aggro. So on this run, the sort of ideal case, and one of the best ways to choose whether or not you want to run it, if you're looking for excuses to, is if I get into the black market from this level, 2-2, which is an even number of levels later, I will de-aggro into the black market. I'll be cleared of aggro. And then on that level, 2-3, I will re-aggro, which now will be odd parity, which is what you want on this category, right? So we'll be on 2-3, 2-4 we can't de-aggro, but then 3-1, the worm entrance we can, the mothership entrance we can, the Moai we can, the City of Goldor we can, and Olmec we will guaranteedly de-aggro as long as you don't get permanent aggro, which is possible by doing certain kills on shopkeepers, or even causing certain damage to their dead bodies can even cause you aggro for some reason. So big explanation on that, but something to consider on these runs when you're watching them is how de-aggro can sort of influence the decisions that you make, right? When did you aggro? Okay, maybe I can get de-aggro into the worm. Anyway, so we want to get into the black market without angering shopkeepers. Unfortunately, shopkeepers randomly got angry. Now, we did get the 1 in 3 for the black market to be there, but they got mad, so we kind of lose the argument, unfortunately, in this situation. So they are still going to be on even parity, which means I basically have no way to de-aggro on this run, and that will influence how I rob this black market. Now, first things first, I want to bomb down. I mess up the bomb. Now I'm dealing with 2 shopkeepers and hired hands. Let's break this down a little bit more so you can see exactly the way that you deal with this. So I want to bomb down where that rock is, because I want to remove some tiles so that the shopkeepers, when they exit the shop over there, will fall down into the bottom layer, and I can enter the top shops without having to deal with them directly, right? That's the scheme, but it doesn't go quite right. So now the alternate method is to use the Matic. That Matic swing there is now going to cause them to aggro immediately, and the next thing I want to do is use the Matic to excavate what the bomb would have detonated while also dealing with the shopkeepers. Now that sounds pretty scary, right? To be digging things out while shopkeepers are angry at you. But the backswing of the Matic is a really great way of handling them. So here I'm waiting for this shopkeeper to move towards the outside of his shop here, and then I swing. Unfortunately, it knocks him forward. I was hoping to knock him backward so that he would fall down below. But that's not a big deal, because what I can do is simultaneously stun this guy over here with a backswing right there, and then knock that shopkeeper to the left, which will send him down. Then, when this shopkeeper wakes up, he'll get sent right over me. Now, unfortunately, I still have hired hands, and they're doing everything in their power to ruin my life. And it's extra frustrating because this is a perfect black market. It is unbelievable how good this black market layout is. The most important thing by a landslide in categories like this, and I complain about it all the time on my stream, is that you need to get paste bombs. Paste bombs are so essential in this game. They save so much time. They make everything easier. They make everything faster. They are a crucial and critical utility. So I'm really excited to get paste. Unfortunately, my hired hand tries to steal it from me, so I have to go back for it. And then look at this shop. If you were low percent into the black market here, this is the pivot of all pivots. This is the perfect shop setup. The greatest no TP shop you can get on the right, paste bomb shop on the left. Spectacular. Unbelievably good black market. And even though my Matic got dropped to the left because the hired hand decided to whip me for no reason, I just get a new Matic. So we're gonna go ahead and now rob from the Ankh shop. I mentioned earlier that the fact that I can't de-aggro will influence the black market rob. This is where it is most relevant. If I wanted to potentially fish for de-aggro, I could steal this Ankh without killing the shopkeepers. However, because I can't de-aggro anyway, I might as well blow them up. It's easier, it's oftentimes faster. It goes a little sour here because the bombs don't cascade properly, and then this guy comes down to try and kill me, but, you know, just a little dodge gets me out of the way, and then we're good to go. We've collected the Ankh, which we need for the chain, and we are now out of the black market. Very busy, very dense, but pretty cool overall. And then scariest part of the run, ooh, that was pretty close. That was not very comfortable, was it? Let's go ahead and do a nice little frame by frame here. So, to be clear here, oh my god, my poor cat is screaming at me. She wants all the attention in the world. Oh, Bella, come here. Come here, Bella. Sorry, it's my cat. I can't say no to her. This was mostly skill, but also a little bit of luck, okay? I react to this shot. If I had gotten a bad shotgun spread RNG, like one bullet curved really, really high really quickly, I absolutely could have been dunked on here. But I do react to the fact that this shopkeeper turns around and shoots right there. Like on the same frame that he hits that wall and turns, he does a shot, and then it is at this moment that I react to it, and I'm like, oh, you need to hit that jetpack. You see how that one pellet is already as high as it can be to hit me? That's what I'm talking about with this was RNG a little bit because of the shotgun spread. Now, I will still say it's mostly skill because if I did not react here, I get hit by that bottom left pellet, right? The only reason that I don't die is because I reacted in time. But again, shotgun spread could have been different. This run might never have happened if that was the case. This run's 118 out of the jungle, which is phenomenal pace for no teleporter hell. You might think if you're an experienced player and you've seen a lot of Spelunky speedruns, you might know that low percent runs can get into the ice caves around that speed. So you might find it a little bit strange that I'm calling it so good for no teleporter. But keep in mind that in no teleporter runs, you're spending a lot of extra time robbing in the early game so that you save time later in the run. So the fact that we're on similar pace to runs that barely do any robbery whatsoever is really, really good. That's really good that we're on pace with that. Not the best in the world, but fantastic. Now, as I said, I can't get de-aggro anyway, so it doesn't matter whether I do regular or max hell now, but I at this point in time was really itching for max hell runs, and then this happens. So this is like as good as it gets. Like, it's not literally the best possible worm tongue, but it's like 2 seconds of time loss over a literal pristine, ideal worm tongue setup. The damsel's right there, the worm tongue's right there, and they both show up immediately, so I don't have to think at all about whether or not I want to do it, right? Sometimes you'll see a good worm tongue, but then you don't see the damsel and you just leave. Or vice versa, right? That is perfect. That is the best you could possibly hope for. Now, the worm itself is pretty quirky in this category. It's a lot of it is just jetpacking, and then the Matic comes into play when you get subrooms like the one on the right here. That subroom on the right is kind of like the Matic subroom. You want to not go through that, because if you look and trace the path that I'd have to follow without the Matic, I have to go to the UFO, then I have to go up towards the Yeti, get through both of them, and then go back down around. Or one Matic swing. One Matic swing right down there to get through it instead. So the worm is going to be kind of going back and forth between dropping quickly with the jetpack to avoid any of the worm enemies that are going to spawn from those egg sacs. And then when I get into dense chunks of terrain, I'm going to use the Matic to try and get through it as fast as I can. Potentially, I might have to tank some damage here and there from the bacteria, which are unkillable unless you have the Chris knife, but we're going to be holding the Matic, so we can't use the Chris knife. Now, on that subject matter, one of my favorite aspects of this run is how it fits together neatly and interestingly. One of my greatest critiques of max categories in general of this game is that they're very arbitrary. I still like doing a lot of them, but they're pretty arbitrary, right? People point out all the time how specific and arbitrary Spelunky categories are. But I think this one is the best example of a max category for 2 reasons. Number one, the worm and Chris knife are extremely good for hell runs. The Chris knife is so useful on hell runs. It kills Anubis for you instantly. It kills Anubis 2 for you instantly. It kills mummies that are defending the Book of the Dead in the City of Gold instantly. It kills Yama instantly. It kills his henchmen, which can drop bombs for you instantly. Like, it's so good for hell runs. And then an interesting quirk of going to the worm in the ice caves on a hell run is that, like I mentioned before, it skips 2 levels. This is going to skip 3-2 and 3-3, and those are the only levels conventionally that the Moai can spawn on. But the Moai will spawn if you go to the worm and then go to the mothership. It will spawn on the level after that. So going to the worm has a bunch of benefits for hell runs, and in order to continue that hell run, you must go to the mothership. Very cool, cohesive, interesting like story of a run to go through. I'm a huge fan of it. So anyway, we get the Chris knife quickly here. We don't have to worry about the acid at all because we can just use the Matic to destroy it before it would damage us. And then we're going to stomp a UFO or 2 here because it's just the best way to get through the terrain, and sometimes it'll make a shortcut for you. And like I mentioned, we have permanent aggro on this run, so we're going to see shopkeepers everywhere for the rest of it. Now we need to get to the mothership quickly. I don't know which side it's on, but I get the 50-50 correct here. And then it takes me a second to get this Matic swing. 3 tiles of distance is trickier than it might seem. So it takes me a few tries to get that Matic swing to get in there a little faster than going all the way around to the bottom. The mothership itself in this category is Usually not bad, but sometimes kind of sucks. This is one such case where it sucks, and that's because of something I talk about all the time on these dang post-run commentaries, which is the worst exit in the game, the mothership exit with this 2-turret, 2-elevator layout. I mean, look at this frame right now, this exact frame. What would you do in this situation? Well, first and foremost, you're not going to the exit. You don't have a path up to the exit because the elevators are currently on a cycle that blocks you from flying up there. So I've opted to place the bomb for 2 reasons. Number 1, it gives me a way to get up there. And number 2, it's going to extract the extremely dangerous exit keeper from the situation. Because if I did go up and around, chances are I just get shot and die. So this exit costs me a bit of time. This mothership is one of the few things in this run that I would say was below average quality. So I get out of dodge here, then the shopkeeper descends, and I rush to the exit. Now it is the Moai level, as mentioned before, another alternate exit for us. We're just gonna die as quickly as we can. In this case, I'm gonna place a bomb, and I'm running around. What am I running around for? I'm just looking for something that could kill me faster. If I saw some spikes, I could die, you know, 1/10 of a second quicker. And that's just free time save, right? So that's pretty cool as far as I'm concerned. Now our responsibility is to kill Anubis. Once again, the Chris knife. Fantastic for this category because you don't have to do anything with Anubis. You see him, you whip him, he's dead. That's it. Now, you and I the runner in the moment, and you, the spectator in this paused frame, have noticed that there is an angry shopkeeper there, and my scepter is falling directly in front of that shop. So that's pretty dangerous. I have to be very, very careful when extracting the scepter, and the move here is actually very satisfying. So I Chris knife that Hawkman, land on the ground, see the shopkeeper in his position right now, and I don't drop. I hover in the air for just enough time for him to get to the sign, and then he performs a jump here because I'm in the air. That's a bit of shopkeeper AI manipulation that is very, very common. Pretty much whenever you see a shopkeeper in a shop and he looks like he's gonna run out, as long as you're above him as he reaches the sign, he will jump instead. So I get him to do that, wait for his shot to come out, grab the scepter, and bail. Very cute, simple shopkeeper manipulation to get the scepter without dying. That level was 10 seconds, like really, really nice and quick Anubis. Now, the worst part of this run is this level. All of that time spent was time wasted because the gold door can spawn anywhere on path on 4-2. It could have spawned in the subroom directly next to the entrance, and then that would have been a 1-second level. But even though this was at the bottom layer, the level itself was actually very fast still. It was only ultimately 7 seconds. But like, this run is so good that that is remarkable. That is worth remarking on. In the City of Gold, I get a layout where I immediately want to bomb. We just want to get down to the Book of the Dead as quick as we can. So we're going to place a bomb here. I grab another bomb here, and you might think, what's that for? Well, the compass is telling me that my exit is in the bottom left. So instead of grabbing the book and then coming back out, what I like to do is take this bomb, which I pre-placed, to let it blow up earlier so I can leave immediately. And then this is a cute little moment. I have to bait this crush trap out of the way. I don't actually have to, but the reason that I choose to do it is because it will also remove this Hawkman. And one or the other I would just rush through, but with both of them there, this is the easiest way for me to deal with it safely. And then as a perk, the Hawkman gets shot by the shopkeeper in a way that also stuns the shopkeeper. He shoots the Hawkman, and then the body instantly stuns him, which makes this exit much safer. I'd love to say that I knew that was going to happen. I didn't. That was just good fortune. That was a nice little perk of the way that I did that. So now we're on to Olmec. Olmec in this category is very fast. We are looking at the Book of the Dead at the top of the screen. Sometimes people ask me, Hectique, how do you know where the Hell Door is on these Hell runs? If you look at the top middle of the screen, there's a Book of the Dead icon, which I've gained for collecting the Book of the Dead. It's gonna do it's gonna do that. It's gonna do that animation. When it goes like really, really quickly, that means you're directly above the Hell Door. So the faster it's chomping, the closer you are to the Hell Door. So I'll be moving to the right while looking at that animation, and the moment that I find the Hell Door, we're gonna place the bombs. The ideal place for the Hell Door to be is just to the left of Olmec, because that way I can place the bombs when he does his initial movement. He won't be on top of the Hell Door, which is bad because I can't place the bombs while he's there. I need to move him out of the way. And we don't want it to be to the right because then I have to move Olmec over. And we don't want it to be all the way on the left because that can get a little bit dangerous with Anubis too. Although with the Chris knife, it's not as bad. So where is it on this run? It's in the perfect spot. So I force a stomp there to prevent Olmec from landing on the bombs. Using that bomb cascade, the pace bombs stick to the ground, then explode, stick to the ground, explode, stick to the ground, explode. If you place them too quickly, they'll all explode at the same time because they'll detonate each other in midair. It's the sticking to the ground that keeps them from doing that. So that's a kind of precise, timed, rhythmic thing to do on these hell runs. Now we're into hell itself. Hell can make or break the pace of a run. It can either be really, really fast or really, really slow. This first level was somewhere in the middle, and thankfully the exit keeper died on his own. This next level is going to also feature pace bombs because I see this frame and I think to myself, okay, I'm gonna drop down because the subroom beneath me is a drop subroom. I know that the path will continue from there, and even though the terrain's really thick, like, going on the right looks horrible and slow, so I just immediately place some bombs. Oh yeah, and I also killed Anubis 2. I didn't mention it because it happened so quickly, but Anubis 2 got Chris knifed there. Another great perk of this run. If you don't have a lot of bombs, sometimes in hell runs, you will keep Anubis 2 alive and he will chase you from the spawn of every single level, which can be dangerous. This last level has the other like heart attack moment in this run right here. There's an exit keeper here, and I don't want to drop right away. I'm going to be honest with you. I am closer to this tiki trap than I should be. I should be a little bit further to the left, but I don't get hit by it. But I am standing closer than I should be. I should not be this close. I'm like pixels away from dying in this situation. But then I drop onto the exit, and then it's Yama time. As I mentioned earlier, Yama is going to be very quick and easy to dispatch with the Chris knife. I will leave it to Past Tactique to both do this fight and then exclaim how excited he is about getting this monumental run.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Sub 4? Oh my god! I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. Never in my wildest dreams. That's... Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Okay. Sub 4, no TP max hell. It's over. It's done. It's just done. Okay. Oh my god.
So just a little remark at the end of this run. There have been 2 times in my Spelunky career where I've completed a run that was so good that I literally didn't believe it. And that whole time that I was saying all that stuff, like, I thought I misread the timer. Like, I did not think it was sub 4. I mean, I saw that it was sub 4, I exclaimed that it was sub 4, but in my head, I was thinking, I must have not been seeing that correctly, right? The only other time that happened was a really long time ago in early Spelunky 2 era. I got a no gold world record that also beat the 90% world record on a teleporter run. And that run was insanely good for the time. It's since been beaten a lot, but that run was incredibly ahead of its time, and I was so shocked by how good it was that I literally didn't believe it happened. So this is one of the only 2 times that that's happened, and you can kind of hear it in my voice, to be honest, that I'm like, oh, no, that couldn't possibly be the case. And then when the time finally comes on screen, I go, oh, because I'm like, oh, it's real. Oh my god, I didn't make it up. And like, just to put it into perspective a little bit more, like, you know, it sounds like glazing, and like it is. It's glazing, but you know, I think it's worth pointing out how ridiculous this is. This run has only ever been beaten once with a teleporter. If you have access to the teleporter, you can save a lot of time, and only one run has ever beaten it, and it's by 1 second. The max teleporter world record is 3:57 by Kinney. This run was almost so fast that it beat the teleporter world record. Like, that's crazy. That does not happen. That doesn't happen. There's no other category that could possibly happen in. This is an insanity, an insane run. Now, it's not unbeatable. I think it will be beaten someday if people continue running the game. And I think, like, I could beat it too, although I don't really try to, because, wow. But yeah, if you were ever wondering, like, what's the best run you've ever done in the Spelunky series, that's it. That's the best run I've ever done. There have been other pretty good runs too. I can cover some of those if you'd like to. But that's it for this post-run commentary. Let me know what you thought of it. If you liked the commentary, if it was too much, if it was too little. Also, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I'll try to answer any curiosities you might have about this run or others. And on the topic of other runs, if there are some that you'd like me to do post-run commentaries of, let me know. I've already gotten a few requests. I'll be doing some of them in the near future. I won't take any requests. There are some that are like, nah, maybe not ideal for post-run commentary just yet, but you know, as I get through the stuff that I really want to do, I'll probably get around to those as well. So feel free to let me know all those things. Thanks for freaking watching. I hope you liked it. I liked it. I like this run a lot. This was a good run. Have a great day. Just freaking, or night. I upload these at like noon for my time zone, but like maybe it's night for you. Maybe you're in the European region or the Asian region. If it's the Australian region, it's actually probably morning for you. So good morning if that's you. But yeah. Cool, bye. Have a nice day. Have a nice night. Goodbye. Yay, bye.